स्ट्रीम के लिए भी हम लाइव आ चुके हैं। लाइव जल्दी-जल्दी से जुड़िए और 4000 घंटे के वॉच टाइम हम कैसे पूरा करेंगे आज टोटली उस चीज़ को हम लाइव आने वाला है, तो लाइव में हमारे जुड़िए जल्दी-जल्दी और यहाँ पे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लाइव को शेयर कीजिए और कमेंट कीजिए और हमारे लाइव में बने रहिए और हमारे लाइव में सिर्फ़ हमारे सेटअप को दिखाए जाएँगे, जिस प्रकार के हमारे सेटअप लगाए गए हैं, ओवर वॉइस एडिटिंग, बैकग्राउंड, ग्रीन स्क्रीन, ये सारे चीज़ को दिखाए जाएँगे और इसके बाद आप सभी को कनेक्टेड होके बने रहना है ताकि वॉच टाइम पूर्ण होने में सहायता कैसे लेते हैं हम, उस चीज़ को आपको दिखाने वाले हैं। तो वीडियो पे बने रहिए। चाय में तो है फुटपाथ तो चाय है लेकिन बहुत भयानक है। मेरे हाथ तो हम लोग कभी पीना तो आ सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। कमेंट जरूर कीजिए। आइए फुटपाथ वाला चाय लोकेशन बता दो भाई, डेली चाय कहाँ मिलता है जो फेवरेट चाय? आइएगा मेन रोड जुबली चौक लाते हैं। काफी बढ़िया है, बिल्कुल कॉर्नर में, हमेशा 6 बजे शाम को मिलता है। आप लोग भी आ सकते हैं मिर्ची और चाय खाने के लिए। हम लोग मिर्ची और चाय खा रहे हैं, बुकिंग कर सकते हैं ऑनलाइन। हम स्कैनर आपको सेंड कर देंगे, साइड में कर दीजिएगा। किसको किसको खाना है वो कृपया हाथ उठा दे और दे दे। सरवन जी बताइए कैसा लग रहा है अंदर? सरवन जी आपको कैसा लग रहा है? सरवन जी बताएंगे कैसा लग रहा है। शाम शाम के टाइम में चाय और खाने पूरा मस्त लग रहा है। इसके बाद देखते हैं जी अपना ये तो नेपाली भाई थे ना, तो नेपाली भाई का चाय है बहुत मजेदार होती है। चाय कैसा लगा भैया बताइए? बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा। खास करके नेपालियों का चाय बहुत अच्छा लगता है। लेकिन इस चाय में हमें एक चीज नोट की है कि आपको चाय गिफ्ट नहीं लगा, गर्म नहीं लगा, इसलिए आधा दादी का पी चुके हैं। हम लोग थोड़ा सा नहीं पिए, अभी बहुत गिफ्ट लगा। आपको कैसे पता चल गया? आप तो देखने ज्यादा खाली कर दिया अभी, इसलिए देखिए भाई गिफ्ट है मेरा। आप पी ले रहे हैं तो गिर के जब चाय नहीं पी रहे हैं, मस्ती कर रहे हैं, तो आइए आप लोग के भी मस्ती करना है तो हम लोग के साथ मिलिए, आप लोग के भी मस्ती कराइए। डुबलिन चौक टर्निंग पॉइंट में कोना में। और यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं सरबन बहुत ही काफी खतरनाक तरीके से यहाँ पे चाय का चुस्की ले रहे हैं। मतलब मेरा चाय खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा। हाँ, ये मंगाया है नेपाल से, और नेपाल का भाई काफी बढ़िया चाय बनाते हैं। जैसा कि आप लोग कभी पिए होंगे तो आप लोग पता होगा। देखिए ये भाई यहाँ पे बच्चा को चीज को यहाँ शॉर्ट कर रहा है, और ये गरीब सबने देखा है। नेपाल में सक्सेसफुल है लेकिन चाय का कप सोचते नहीं होता भाई। बस सही है, कप भी ब्रांडेड है, तो गाइज आप सभी को मैं बता दूं, अगर आप सभी को किसी को अगर ऑनलाइन संबंधित कुछ भी काम करना है तो आइए यहाँ पे इस प्रज्ञा केंद्र में। क्या है भाई नाम? एसटी इंडियन साइबर कैफे। यहाँ पे आइए और इंटरटेनमेंट लीजिए, बहुत ही बढ़िया। बाहर का लोकेशन दिखा दे रहा हूँ आप सभी को। ये मेन चौक है, इसके जस्ट में ये है। भैया आप लोग क्या चिकन लाइन करवाना है बताइए? तो भाई क्या क्या सुविधाएं मिल जाएगा, फटाफट बताइए। सबसे पहले कस्टमर को जैसे आपको जा किया है। अच्छा अच्छा, सबसे पहले बैठाएंगे, चाय पियाएंगे। अच्छा, मतलब कोई भी यहाँ पे कस्टमर आता तो एक कप चाय? अच्छा अच्छा, उसके लिए पानी देख लिया। खास करके जो हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब करेगा, अच्छा लाइक करके आएगा, हाँ उसके लिए थोड़ा डिस्काउंट रहेगा। हाँ डिस्काउंट रहेगा, मतलब चाय कंपलसरी है ना। और अगर कोई सब्सक्राइब करके स्पेशल आते हैं तो उसके लिए और रहेगा, डिस्काउंट दे सकते हैं फिलहाल। जैसे बहुत सारा ऑनलाइन काम होता है उसमें लगभग 15 से 20% का डिस्काउंट मिलेगा ना? मिल जाएगा। और ये तो सब्सक्राइबर के लिए हुआ, और यहाँ पे दशहरा ऑफर के लिए कुछ डिस्काउंट है ऑनलाइन करने वालों के लिए, करवाने वाले के। उनके लिए कुछ गिफ्ट रहेगा, तोहफा वगैरह। अच्छा, तो गाइज आप सभी फटाफट यहाँ पे आइए एसटी इंडियन साइबर कैफे में और ऑनलाइन संबंधित अनेकों काम करवाइए। हेलो एवरीबॉडी, दिस इज दिगराज सिंह राजपूत, वेलकम टू मैग्नेट ब्रीज। इस वीडियो में वेलकम टू न्यू ब्लॉग। तो आज की ब्लॉग में हम दिखाने वाला है कि झारखंड स्टेट लाइवलीहुड प्रमोशन सोसाइटी के अंतर्गत यानी कि जेएसएलपीएस में वार्षिक आम सभा किया जा रहा है और ये कहाँ हो रहा है ये सब बताएंगे आप सभी को। तो ये हो रहा है लातेहार प्रखंड के पांडेपुरा पंचायत का पांडेपुरा क्लस्टर के अंतर्गत में किया जा रहा है ये आयोजन। और ये झारखंड के अंतर्गत है। बहुत ही खूबसूरत नजारे आप सभी को देखने को मिलेगा और यहाँ पे झारखंड का नृत्य कार्यक्रम सभी प्रकार के यहाँ पे किया जा रहा है और आप सभी को पूरी वीडियो दिखाएंगे। तो वीडियो में आप बने रहिए। आप और यहाँ पे पंकज लगा हुआ है जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं वीडियोग्राफी करने में और काफी बढ़िया ब्लॉग वीडियो के रूप में एक बंदा बना रहे हैं और हमारा कैमरामैन के रूप में ही कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हम पीछे हैं। ये बोल रहा है कि मैं खुद कर देता हूँ कैमरामैन, इसलिए मेरा कैमरामैन आज का पंकज कुमार। और धीरे धीरे यहाँ पे स्टेज की ओर बढ़ते हुए सभी यहाँ पे प्रतिभागी यानी कि स्वागत करता टीम यहाँ पे स्टेज की ओर बढ़ते हुए और यहाँ पे स्टेज में पहुंच जाने के बाद एक और यहाँ पे स्वागत गान यहाँ पे गाया जा रहा है और इसके बाद में हम लोग आगे के कार्यक्रम दिखाएंगे। तो आप सभी वीडियो पे बने रहिए। और इस स्वागत गाना के बाद एक और जेएसएलपीएस का जो अपना प्रार्थना है उस प्रार्थना को यहाँ पे गाया जाएगा, प्रार्थना गीत को गाया जाएगा। तो आप सभी सुनिए उस प्रार्थना को और उसके बाद आगे की प्रक्रिया देखिए। हम लोग के बीच में उपस्थित है, आग्रह करना चाहेंगे कि एक बार राष्ट्रपति की तालीम इसके बाद इस प्रोसेस में कार्य कर रहे हमारे महंत भैया भी उपस्थित है, हम आग्रह करना चाहेंगे। और इस तरह से प्रोग्राम तो चलता रहेगा और इसके बीच में हम लोग यहाँ पे दीप प्रज्वलित का कार्यक्रम शुरू करते हैं और यहाँ पे पूरी तरीके से हम लोग स्टेज में लग चुका है स्टेज दीप प्रज्वलित कार्यक्रम करने के लिए और हम लोग पूरी तरीके से रेडी हैं। तो चलिए देखते हैं दीप प्रज्वलित कार्यक्रम। और यहाँ पे ये देखिए झारखंड का सबसे बढ़िया नृत्य गान यहाँ पे डांस जो कि अपना झारखंड का बहुत ही बढ़िया संस्कृति है और देखने में काफी बढ़िया मजा आ रहा होगा आप सबका और इसका एंटरटेनमेंट अब लोग उठाइए आप सभी। और इस नृत्य का लुत्फ उठाने के लिए हम लोग भी यहाँ पे लग चुके हैं जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं हम लोग भी अपना इस नृत्य को डांस का लुत्फ उठाने के लिए हम लोग भी शामिल हो चुके हैं जैसा कि हमारे सर और हम लोग भी यहाँ पे एक लाइन में लग चुके हैं और ये इंटरटेनमेंट के साथ यहाँ पे धीरे धीरे लोग उठा रहे हैं। तो गाइस मुझे डांस किया हुआ हो गया अब चलते हैं मांदर बजाने और मांदर बजा के एंजॉय करेंगे और एंटरटेनमेंट करेंगे। हेलो हम तो हर बाबूजी के बचपन के दोस्त चतुर चाचा। प्रणाम चाचा जी। उनका से बेटा 5,000 ले ले रही अब ही तोरा के ट्रांसफर देनी है बेटा बाकी गलती से 50 चल गई बा पेमेंट मैसेज चेक कर ला बेटा बाकी 45 हमरा के लौटा दो। राउर मैसेज बाद में पहले आपन बैंक अकाउंट चेक कर ली। अरे वो रखना है हो शाबाश यूपीआई कहेला कि वो नकली पेमेंट के मैसेज भेज के पैसा वापस मांगे तो ओकरा से कह दी हम मुरुख ना। जाई रवो केहू के टेस्ट ली। So this is the fire on board Henry Hudson.
as we see it right now. Live feed coming in. You're seeing LA fireboat number 2 right there, spraying water on the fire. It looks like that fire is up forward on the vessel, just forward of the house. You can see water being sprayed right now on the port side. You're looking at the left side of the vessel there, and you can see smoke coming. They're doing a cooling operation here as we speak. So, real quick, I'm pulling up some data right now as we sit here on the Henry Hudson. I hadn't been able to really do that because I just hopped in here to kind of take a look at it. So, this ship had just departed from Tokyo back on November 7th, arrived into Los Angeles on November 19th. She is part of ONE's uh, fleet of vessels. ONE, for those of you who don't know, is the Ocean Network Express. That is the ship's operating company. So, real quick, I'm going to put this up here for you. If you want to ask a question, I'll try to get some questions in here in a minute. But if you do want to ask a question, please leave them in the chat box there. And what we can do is I'll come back to them. Please capitalize them so I can pull them out a little bit faster. I'll try to notice them and highlight them as I go. I'm a one-man show here, so I apologize. You don't have a lot of screening here with me, so I'm going to take a look at it. So yeah, that is fireboat number 2 right there from Los Angeles. So that's one of their big fireboats. That is one of the big LA fireboats right there. One of the things about LA is it's got some great firefighting capability. LA and Long Beach. If you're gonna have a fire, have it in the port of LA because they've got some of the best. And there's actually 2 other fireboats that are on scene there too. LA Fireboat number 5 and LA Fireboat number 3. We also got Long Beach Fire Department there with Long Beach Fire with Long Beach Fireboat 20. That's their big fireboat is there. So you've got everybody in position here. So you're looking at the bow of the vessel right there, port side bow. They've been pulling containers off the stacks. You'll notice up forward here, the forward hold is open, and then you have the bays here, and it looks like the fire is down here in this open bay. So those of you who follow me on what's going on with shipping will know a good friend of the show, Patrick Durham, runs Stash TV, Stash Training, talks a lot about these issues, and always the big suspect in fires like this is material inside the containers. And one of the big problems we've had for this has been the issue of what is inside those containers, and obviously, one of the big issues has been the issue of lithium ion batteries. Want to talk about some questions here. Dust 6156 talking about boundary cooling. So, one of the things in a fire on a ship is you're really trying not always to extinguish the fire itself, but try to prevent the fire from spreading. So, one of the things you want to do is use boundary cooling to cool the stacks of containers that have not combusted yet. So there's a big concern here that the fire in the ship is going to radiate through the metal hull, and particularly to the metal containers. And if it gets to those next metal containers, then we know that it's going to kind of ignite the next ones. So Michael Harris, 9504. Hello, Michael. Do we know what sparked this yet? No, too early to tell. Obviously, it's down here in the cargo hold of the vessel, so we just don't know what has sparked this yet. What's interesting here to find out is whether or not this happened during the operations of the cargo. Was it burning already? I just got notice about this, so we don't know. Let me see. We're talking about the boundary cooling right there. There's another question here. Do we know what kind of cargo is on board? Listen, this ship came from the Far East, so there is no telling what kind of cargo can be on board this vessel. It will definitely have a round a trip cargo here of a lot of different commodities. What we tend to see that comes out in these container ships is a little mix of everything. So there's really no telling I'm trying to pull up right now for us the ship. So the ship actually came out of Singapore and then up to Japan. It ran to Osaka, Nagoya, and then into Tokyo before coming across to the United States. So it would have loaded cargo throughout those ports. Since it just came into the United States, we can assume that a vast majority of this cargo was going to be offloaded here into the port of Los Angeles. Going here, look at some questions here for everybody. So a lot of boundary cooling going on here. I'm going to try to give you another image. I'm going to show you right here where this is located. So I'm going to stop sharing here for 1 second. So I apologize. You get my big mug here for a second. I'm going to bring you over to another screen of mine right here. Sorry, working multiple screens right here. Okay, so this is the port of Los Angeles. This is marine traffic we're using right here for everyone who doesn't know what this is. This is the port of LA, Long Beach you're seeing right here. This is the ONE Henry Hudson. So if you come in out of the port of LA, up the channel, past the battleship Iowa, this is the facility right here where she's docked. I'm going to take you in. You'll see some images of ships here. They are not actually here. This is a Google Earth image that you get. But here is the vessel up against the berth. Here are the fireboats. That is LA Fireboat number 2 right there, LA Fireboat number 5, Fireboat 3, Fireboat 4, and then the Long Beach boat. Looks like Long Beach boat is heading back right now. There's Long Beach boat 20. Good thing is that this seems to be contained right now on the berth. I'm going to take you back over to the NBC 4 image right here. So hang on a second. Let's go ahead and stop sharing there. Apologize, working this on the fly here, as you can see, because this is just happening right now. There we go. Get a better image right there. There you go. So here we are. You can see the fire seems to be limited up to the forward part of the vessel. You have a fire department on the scene. I just pulled up a story from one of the local affiliates. Part of the crew are on board assisting in the fighting on board. So one of the things that you are not seeing right here is probably members of the Los Angeles Fire Department on board the ship working with the ship's crew, getting down into the hold of the vessel and trying to fight this fire as much as they can. All you're seeing right now is fireboat number 2 spraying water on the fire. So I'm going to go back and look at a couple of questions right now that we had come up here. And again, if you want to leave a question, please, if you don't mind, just capitalize it so I can pull it out right now. And I can find it right here. So real quick question here, Jazar, would they try to remove hazmat that's kept in and near the bow? Right now, they're not moving any cargo, as you note. There's no containers coming on and off. They really don't want to expose the cranes to high heat. That heat's going to come up and could potentially cause damage to the crane, and you can accidentally drop containers. What they're going to do is try to protect the ship from any expansion of this fire, and hence the boundary cooling you see. Right here, why is the bulbous bow above the water? Is it down aft? So the ship is light up forward. So one of the things that happens with ships that come into LA, as I said to you before, Henry Hudson just came in from Singapore and Japan. One of the very unique things that happen along the west coast of the United States is that container ships come into the port of LA or Long Beach and nearly offload their entire cargo. They almost go completely empty. On the East Coast and Gulf Coast of the United States, ships will go to about 3 or 4 ports. They tend not to do that on the West Coast. Maybe they'll come to 1 or 2 ports, and if they come into the port of Los Angeles, they will empty out. So normally, what the ship is going to do is trim itself, make sure it's on an even keel. So there is a control system on board the ship that will actually control ballast on the ship to keep the ship nice and level, both port and starboard and forward and aft. And so what you're trying to do is keep the ship level. That's really important as the cranes go down into the interior of the ship. You can't have that kind of list or being down by the head or the stern. So they're trying to keep the ship as level as they can. And again, if you do have a question, feel free to pop it in there. Just capitalize it if you don't mind. And again, I'm going to shamelessly plug my channel. If you're not a subscriber to what's going on with shipping, please subscribe. Always love to have subscribers join us on board the channel. Let's see, pulling up some questions here. Let's see what else we got here. Very nice comments here. I appreciate everyone saying nice things, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, because I wonder what is in all those containers. The Beirut blast and the 1 year ago invasion in China started a lot like this. Yes. First thing about Beirut. Beirut was not a loaded cargo ship. That was ammonium nitrate that was stored ashore. And the ports of LA and Long Beach are very careful about hazardous material. There's a lot of protection associated with that. Is there hazardous material on board the ship? Yes, directly. There will be hazardous material on board the ship. One of the things that should be being done, I should make a quick note here. I am a former merchant mariner. For those of you who don't know, I sailed ships for a number of years. I worked ashore. I'm also a 20-year veteran of the fire service. I'm actually a captain on my volunteer firefighter. I've been a paid firefighter, and I've done marine firefighting. So I know a little bit about all of this. So just so you know, I'm not just a dude who's just telling you about a fire and don't know anything about it. I try to kind of do it. But they will do everything they can. One of the things that the fire department will do when they come on board the ship is immediately get from the ship's master a load plan from the ship. And in particularly, what they want to identify is any hazardous material on board. And so one of the things they'll want to do is provide protection. So note, really important here, we have empty bays forward and aft of this large stack. They should be able to keep this contained to those stacks right there that you see where the water and the spotlight are on. Just forward of that and just after that, we can see the empty. You can actually see the lights here on the lashing bridges. Those are the bridges that they use to store the containers on board. And so those bridges are in a position there where you can actually put material on them and actually lash them. So that's an area where they can get in. This imagery is, again, not mine. It's coming from NBC4 there in Los Angeles, so I'm not sure how long it will last. So I'm going to try to keep you in touch right here. So a couple of comments here. I'm going to pull up here. Lithium-ion batteries don't need a spark. The thing about lithium-ion batteries is it may not be causing the fire, but if they are in containers, they may actually have a problem with it. You may see, I'm going to lower this because we're getting some audio here. One of the things that you may see is that if lithium ion does get heated up, it can conduct a thermal runaway. And that is a big problem because you can dump the ocean on lithium ion and it's not going to go ahead and be put out. Again, if you have a question, feel free to jump it in here. Just capitalize it so I can find it. I'm scrolling through right now. So, great question here by Dust6156 again. Do container ships have fixed firefighting systems? So, not all ships, they will have fixed firefighting systems in engine spaces. So, in the engine space, which is way aft right here, you can see the house on the ship back here, that lighted area just back there. That is the engine space. They will have fixed firefighting systems, typically CO2, carbon dioxide in those compartments, but up there you won't. So you're seeing right now massive amounts of water. So this water cannon right here is probably shooting somewhere in the range of about 2,000 to 3,000 gallons per minute right now up on the ship, trying to flood and cool those containers right there. Now, the containers you see on deck are just part of the containers. Those containers are sitting on a hatch, and then below them are more containers. What I think is burning is actually below the containers. I think that the fire itself is below this stack inside the interior of the ship. Now, firefighters will be able to get in there, but it's a very difficult area to access. there are ladder wells and stairs to get down there, but they're going to act like chimneys. So really going to be hard to get in there. Is this near the Coast Guard base? So this is actually, again, I showed it a little while ago, but I will show it again. This is in the port of Los Angeles itself. So this is in the Houston Container Terminal, so the YCT terminal. Up there, it's on the Dominguez Channel, right across from the oil tanks. So no fear of it really spreading over to them. This is on the Terminal Island container facility. So this is in the port of Los Angeles. Let's go on here. Going on, what do they use to create the cooling barrier? So the cooling barrier is being done by the tug here. You're using water to cool them. What you're trying to do is keep the temperature of the containers down. So you're fighting a battle, Deb, between them. So you're using water to cool. I would imagine that they may be using water from the shore side too to hit the other side. One of the things that fire trucks do on the pier there is set up their water monitors, their cannons to shoot from the other side, and then try to keep it closed. Very nice of King Jamie. Please hit the like button. I would appreciate that. Any reported injuries? I don't believe so, and I apologize. I am not monitoring right now all the news. I'm trying to pull up Los Angeles news right now on the fire and see if we got any more reports on the ship right now. Pulling up one from 28 minutes ago. This is from CBS in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Fire Department said an electrical fire started a little after 6:30 p.m. below deck on the container ship ONE Henry Hudson. LAFD sent more than 120 firefighters to the dock ship as police and custom officers helped the 23-person crew of the 1,100-foot ship. Some of the crew stayed on the ship to help firefighters navigate the vessels. LAFD said there were no injuries. LAFD hazmat teams responded to the port to set up air quality monitoring. So just a couple of things here about the vessel here. So she's a 17-year-old vessel. Sorry, I'm going to have to move my mic here while I do this. 17-year-old vessel built back in 2008, Panamanian registry. She has a carrying capacity of 8,212 TEU. That's a 20-foot equivalent unit. What you see right now, that containers there marked ONE that you see on the screen, those are 40-foot containers. Those are two 20-foot containers in size, what we call an FEU. So right now, what we see right here is no injuries reported on board. Questions: do the fireboats have a limited amount of firefighting chemicals? So yes, the fireboats have foam capability on board. Right now, they're not using foam capability because what they're doing is a cooling operation. So they will not use foam. But the boats can mix foam into their water solution and spray it. Typically, you use anywhere from a 1 to 6% solution to spray on board. But right now, because they're spraying such high quantities of water, they would not use foam because they don't want to spray foam and water at the same time. Going on here. Would they keep unloading to isolate the fire from the fuel? No, as I mentioned to you before, one of the things that you see right here is that the stack that's on fire has actually a barrier. It actually has a void cargo space forward and aft of it. So right now, they're not doing any cargo operations, it appears. We're not seeing the movement of any container cranes. Now, they may move some aft, but the issue you have here is they really don't want to start shifting weight on the ship either. Got to be careful about that because they're spraying a lot of water into the ship. So they got to start worried about putting some heavy load on the ship. Now, they're not worried about it sinking. You're not going to put that much water into this. स्वीटी का नया अकाउंट उनका केवाईसी भी अपडेट करना है मैं यार नूडल्स बना रहा हूँ तो तुम बहाने बना रहे हो अरे ये तो एकदम झटपट काम है कैसे अगर केवाईसी में कोई चेंज नहीं है या सिर्फ एड्रेस बदला है रजिस्टर्ड मोबाइल ईमेल इंटरनेट बैंकिंग या लेटर से सेल्फ डिक्लेरेशन करो और चेंजेस हो तो घर बैठे वीडियो केवाईसी आधार ओटीपी ये केवाईसी से अपडेट करो सिंपल ये तो नूडल्स बनाने से भी आसान है अभी आता हूँ आरबीआई कहता है केवाईसी सुरक्षित बैंकिंग की ओर पहला कदम see. Movie back soon. Yes, we got Sal live. Yeah, there's a fire burning. There's a ship. There's a ship emergency. My phone started going off like crazy, so people started contacting me. So everybody who sent me a note, I like it. Uh, Note here from Iron Dark. Looks like the bottom row is involved. It will probably get involved. The heat is radiating up through that compartment. So there's going to be a lot of heat. And of course, as you notice, they can only provide really cooling on the outside containers. So that container stack on that vessel, I'm putting up a picture right now of the Henry Hudson. I'm trying to get an image here on how many containers. Here we go. Sorry, I'm working on another screen here at the same time, so pardon me while I do this. 2, 4, 6, 14. She has about 17 containers across. So the O&E containers you see right there, there's another 16 containers going across the beam of the vessel. So they're only cooling those outside containers. So obviously inside is heating up. And this is why you want to put firefighting crews on the ship. So, John Connors, how much does the ship crew captain know of what's in what container? Excellent question, John Connors. So, the ship does have a manifest, both digital and paper, that they should have available to provide. They will not have, obviously, down to every box that's in those containers. But one of the things that they're required to have is a hazardous cargo manifest. So, you do have to provide hazardous cargo material manifest so that we know if there's any dangerous material there, then they will know. Next question right here. This is from Mark. Only one fireboat. No, Mark. There's actually, from my count, approximately 5 fireboats in the area. I'm going to put this back up for you. Hang on 1 second while I do that. So you're seeing one fireboat right now handling it, but that is the big fireboat in the port of Los Angeles. That is fireboat number 2. And let me be clear, fireboat number 2 is a behemoth of a fireboat. She is massive. I'm going to flip over here 1 minute, so pardon me while you lose an image and you get my big head. I know everyone wants to tune in for that. I apologize. I'm not trying to blind you with the top of my noggin. I know that's not what you want at all. The terrible thing. Let's see what we got here. Let's bring this up. So this is back over at marine traffic right here. This is actually a live AIS image of what's happening right here. So here is ONE Henry Hudson. This boat right here is LA Fireboat number 2, but you notice LA Fireboat 23, Fireboat 5, Fireboat 3, and Fireboat 4. So let me be clear, if you're going to have a fire in the United States on a ship, you want to do it in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, bar none, along with the Port of Long Beach. I don't want to knock down my friends over in Long Beach because they're great too. As a matter of fact, the Long Beach fireboat was there just a little while ago, but they actually sent it back to Long Beach because they don't need it. Right now, fireboat number 2 is providing all the water they need. There's plenty coming out from there. You're seeing on shore there, they're setting up. So it's hard to see right here. But one of the things you'll see is ladders going to the ship. So we're seeing ground-based firefighter department are deploying their aerials. So they're getting ladders up. And one of the reasons you send the ladders up there is at the end of the ladders, you have hookups for hoses. So there are actually water pipes that run up to those top of the ladder. Even though you can climb up to the ship and go forward, you put the ladders up because you can hook your hoses right to the aerials. And that lets you basically start fighting the fire from that position. That's a really smart move. And I will note that LA and Long Beach conduct drills from periodically. There's a couple of military reserve ships in the port of Long Beach, 2 Cape I class vessels. And one of the things that the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Long Beach Fire Department do is practice bringing their what they call large diameter hoses. These are big, huge 5 to 6 inch hoses up on the vessels and use it to snake down. So here you get an excellent picture. You can see those aerials are up, at least 2 aerials up. You see one going up back here on the aft side too. So, and no, they haven't stopped the water. Water's still flowing on this ship. Let's see, a couple other notes say, white trash earth. What's up, Sal? Hey, Appreciate that. Thanks for reporting on this. Happy to. I hate to report on something like this, but it does seem there. So where are the fuel tanks relative to fire? So fuel is carried in double bottoms at the very bottom of the ship. The fuel is actually below the waterline on a ship, so it is being cooled naturally. This is something that happens, so you don't have to worry about fuel on the vessel sparking in fire. That is not really an issue. I'm kind of surprised they haven't moved the container cranes out of the way yet. Now they may not be able to move some of those container cranes because of the situation on board the ship, because of where they have them on. See, right now is the boat listing or is that the camera view? So hard to tell right now. The ship's power is still on, so the ship still has power on. Their lights are still on. We see that. We also know that during a loading operation or an unloading operation is happening right here. They basically would be trimming the vessel, making sure it's on an even keel. I apologize if I'm repeating here for some people, but I don't know when people come on. So if you do have a question, please type it in capitals so I can grab it out of my list. I'm trying to scroll there. Are they actively removing water that is being sprayed onto the ship? Excellent question. I would assume they would still have the engine crew on board the vessel. So they would be adjusting the trim of the vessel, making sure the vessel is still maintaining its even keel, not going down by the head or the stern. And if they do have flooding, they would start trying to remove that water. That water becomes a big hazard at the bottom of the ship as it starts to fill in for firefighting crews on board. Let's see here. Keep going here. Just scrolling through. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Very nice of you to say. I'm wondering how they will keep this safer than what happened in Newark. So Newark is a very different situation. So those of you who don't know, there was a fire in the port of Newark about 2 years ago now on board a car carrier, the Grand Costa de Borio. And that car carrier had a fire take place in the internal decks of the ship. They were actually loading vehicles to export over to Africa. These were old vehicles. One of the pusher vehicles that was being used by the port caught fire, and Newark firefighters went on board the ship to an attempt to fight the fire. The two Newark firefighters got trapped, pinned between vehicles, and unfortunately, they died. Uh, the Newark Fire Department had almost zero experience in fighting fires on board ships. The Los Angeles and Long Beach Fire Department, this is LA right here, this is Los Angeles, have a lot more experience in fighting fires. They train on this. They have an entire Marine fighting unit there in the port. So this is definitely better trained to execute these operations. And so I think the LA Fire Department will be more concerned and more careful than, I'm not saying Newark wasn't concerned and careful, but they got themselves kind of in a bad position when they were on. You were the Blank O'Leary of shipping. That's a huge compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that. Juan is a friend. Fireboat quit. Yeah, sometimes the fireboats are going to be directed by the command. So if you do see the fireboat quit spraying, they're doing that usually at the direction of the crews that are directing the firefighting. How's the world tour done? I'm done. I'm back home. I appreciate it, JTTV. I'm back. Although I got to fly out to New Orleans in 2 weeks for a conference, but I appreciate this. I wonder if it's a Delta fire. That's why they may be applying copious amounts of water. So there are different classes of fire. For those of you who don't know, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. Alpha is kind of like wood and solid material. Bravo is, are you going to be, I have to do this off the top of my head now, and I'm going to be like an idiot here. Bravo is oil fire. Charlie is like electrical. And D is like metallic metals burning, magnesium and things like that. I hope I got that right, or else I'm going to be like an idiot on live TV. But your question is like me doing math on live TV. But yeah, they'll be putting the water on because they really do want to make sure that this does not spread. Night Herder, Sal's the most qualified. I'm not the most qualified on YouTube. I'm really not. There's a lot better guys who've sailed for a lot longer than I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say that, but I'm not. Do you remember the census? San Siena explosion in the port of LA. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not. I probably, if you remind me on it, my brain's probably running here quite a bit, so I'm probably bad for remembering things. Let's see what else we got here. Take a shot every time you mention. I'm not going to mention being a volunteer firefighter anymore. I mentioned it one time. You know how somebody's a firefighter? They'll tell you. It's always that idea. So let's see right here. Let's go on. Is there multiple fires or single smoke just moving up towards the captain? I'm not sure what that is. I think the fire is in that stack. I believe the fire is actually below the stack that they're spraying water on. So again, just to mention, the containers you see are on top of a hatch cover, and then below the hatch cover there are more containers. It appears that the hatch cover is fires below. Now, the initial report from the CBS News that I read a few minutes ago said it was an electrical fire on board. This story, I'm going to read one here from NBC News. This is, in fact, I'm streaming from NBC4 News. There are helicopters out there. Fire broke out on a container ship in San Pedro Friday evening. The fire was reported about 6:38 p.m. on the container ship. They keep putting one Henry Hudson. It's the ONE Henry Hudson. It's not the one. According to the Los Angeles Fire Department, ship's crew reported an electrical fire coming from below deck. More than 100 personnel are responding. It seems like the same fire right here. The only new one here is approximately 7:58. An explosion was noted mid-deck that affected power, including lights and crane operations on the ship. LAFD hazmat companies are monitoring air quality as suppression efforts continue on the ship's sublevels. So you can see right there all the LA Fire Department there. You can see the aerials up on the ship up forward. Explosion was probably internal to a container on the ship. I don't think that would be an explosion of cargo on the ship. Hunter's Farmer, thanks for the content and coverage. No problem. Happy to do it. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Very nice of you to do that. You guys do not have to do that, but I do appreciate it. Very nice of you. Pulling up some more questions here. Can you give a recap for those who just joined a little bit late? Sure. So again, the story is electrical fire on board the ONE Henry Hudson. This is a container ship in the port of Los Angeles. It arrived on November 19th. The ship just came in from Tokyo, Japan. It made several stops in Japan prior to this and originated over in Singapore. What you see right now, right in front of you, that is LA Fireboat number 2 right there. The boat up on the upper right here, that is LA Fireboat number 3, and in the background is LA Fireboats 4 and 5. So we have multiple fireboats on scene. Long Beach Fireboat 20 just left the scene because they have ample firefighting capability here. They have stopped spraying water here. Again, they would be directed by the shoreside command. So firefighting will set up what's called an incident command system, ICS, and there will be an incident commander. There will be an on-scene operations commander on board the ship, along with multiple elements. Here, the fire cannons are firing back up again here. They are just sucking water out of the channel here and spraying it, so plenty of water can be used here to fight this fire. So anyway, let me keep going on here. Let's see, Marty right here. Former Coast Guard PSC examiner, is the fire contained in containers above deck, or is this fire in the holds also? Marty, we believe it's below deck. I don't think it's in those containers up above deck. I have not seen flames. All we're seeing right now is smoke. And we haven't seen a lot of firefighters up on deck, so I'm thinking that it is below deck. You'll notice here, just aft of where they're spraying water, you see those row of lights? That is the lashing tower between the container stacks. So this area right here has got all the containers out, and then just forward a bit, all the containers are out also. So they've got good access to get crews down into those areas and spray water up against the decks. So they should be able to provide good boundary control here and boundary cooling. So they should be able to keep the container in these stacks, both above deck and below deck. And understand the key to firefighting isn't always going in to a compartment and fighting fire. Sometimes you want to use oxygen to your advantage. So one of the things they may be doing is sealing the compartment below these containers here where they're spraying water. And what they're going to use is oxygen, not oxygen itself, but the lack of oxygen to snuff out the fire. They're going to deprive the fire of oxygen, and then the boundary cooling will start cooling the compartment so that if they open up the compartment, they don't get a flashover. That's what you see in the movies when somebody opens up a compartment or a door and that huge explosion. What you typically actually would see is air rush in and then a massive smoke explosion followed by smoke. Question: do we know what the contents of the containers are? No, we will not know what's in these containers till much later. I will say, however, that the firefighting crew will receive from the master of the vessel and the port agent a list of what's in the containers, generalized list of what's in the containers. They will also get a hazmat list of what hazardous material is in the containers. Typically, they'll get the code letters, which conform to the United Nations IMO code, and they'll be able to determine what's in there. They're right now not moving containers on the ship. They're just trying to provide coolant. David Katz, I'm a retired chief engineer. Chang, how you doing? Good to see you, Chief. Had about 4 fires over time. Nasty stuff. Exactly. I got to say, if you're going to have a fire like this, the best place to have it is in port. And fortunately, the Port of LA has excellent, I can't say this enough, firefighting capabilities. You've got 5 tugboats, not tugboats, fireboats. These aren't tugboats, these are fireboats designed for fighting fire on scene. And right here, I'm going to move this so you can see me. One of the things, take myself out of this picture here, you will see the LA Fire Department have their aerials up against the ship. Again, those aerials don't just allow you to access the ship, but those aerials have pipes on them so that you can connect to fire hoses. And what they're doing right now is dropping fire hoses down into those holds, or they're above the hold, spraying to spray the hold, the decks, the bulkhead. Sorry, I'm talking a lot here. Spray the bulkheads that are on there. So yeah, we don't know what is on board these. We just have a general idea of what's in them. So I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more here. Is there a fire on the dock too? No, no fire on the dock. It's just the fire department, the Los Angeles Fire Department, staging on the dock. Hats off to the LA Fire Department. They're doing an excellent job. You can see crews right there stretching hoses right now. You see the crews on deck right there. Excellent picture right here. You can see the crews on deck laying out hoses. They're doing it with the empty hoses. You want to get the hoses into position. You don't want a fully charged hose, weigh a ton. I jack a lot of hose all the time, so you just want to move those hoses around. Let's see. Keep going here. Sorry, didn't mean to put that one up there. Sorry about that. Going on is, let's see here. Is the boat listening or is it camera view? Probably camera view. You're up looking from a helicopter right now. This is NBC4's helicopter feed. I'm pulling right now. Do the firefighters know the contents? Again, they will get information on what is hazardous material on there. If you have questions, please feel free, put them in there. Again, Sal Mercogliano here. My channel is What's Going On with Shipping, for those of you who don't know. If you wouldn't mind, take a moment, subscribe and like to the channel. I always appreciate getting subscribers. I cover global shipping for the channel. We talk about a whole batch of things, but fire is one of the things, incidents like this, we will talk about. I'm a former merchant mariner and firefighter. There you go, I said it again. I wonder how feasible a carbon dioxide or nitrogen system for containers is. So there was a fire in Zeebrugge in Belgium a few months ago. Covered it on the channel. It was a vehicle fire, so they had vehicles in a ship catch fire, and one of the things they brought was nitrogen on board to pump into the ship. Pumping into the hold is feasible. You just would need a lot of nitrogen and a lot of carbon dioxide. These are massive spaces. This is an 8,000 TEU ship. That is a 20-foot equivalent. You see those boxes right there, just forward, the little ONE boxes right there. Those little boxes, I say little, those are 20-foot long boxes. So this ship could carry 8,000 of those boxes on board. You can see on the pier there and on the ship, the longer boxes, those are 40-foot boxes. So what you see on the dock right here are elements of the Los Angeles Fire Department. They've got their large hoses stretched out. They would be hooked into either water systems on the pier or pulling water from Los Angeles Bay, or actually not Los Angeles Bay, they're in the Dominguez Channel, pulling water from the Dominguez Channel. So right here, this aerial device right here going up, you've got the aerial hook on there for the hoses. You're probably staging crews along this open area right here. The crews will be wearing their self-contained breathing apparatuses. You do not want to suck in the smoke. And they'll start cooling the hull, the bulkheads here, to keep this fire contained. Question: does it look to you the fire is getting hotter? No, actually, one of the things it looks like to me is that the smoke is getting a little bit lighter. So we're getting a little bit lighter, kind of whiter smoke, which tells me that cooling is being done. That's a really good sign. When you see dark, heavy black smoke, that is incomplete combustion. That is always a dangerous thing when you start worrying about when you see really dark black smoke, is that you get a smoke explosion, that the smoke can actually create a problem for you. Going on? Going on here, I'm looking for questions. With all the thousands of gallons of water being poured on the ship, do they have pumps running? Yeah, they would probably have their pumps running. We see that there's electricity on the ship, see lights on the ship. So we definitely have probably the engine crew down in the engine compartment. There are individual pumps for each of these holds, so they can definitely be pumping water out as they go. I don't think you're in any danger of sinking the ship by any means. If you filled up all of those two forward compartments, one forward, one aft of the burning containers, you would not sink this ship. It's a pretty big ship. The ship itself, up here real quick. Ship is 336 meters in length. So 336 meters. Sorry, I'm a good American and I don't do meters to feet very quickly. So that's 1,102 feet. So this is actually longer than an aircraft carrier, this vessel. Gives you an idea of the size of the vessel. This ship carries 8,000 containers. This is not a big ship. There are ships that carry 24,000 containers. So this is kind of a medium-sized ship you're looking at right here. Would they ever try to move the ship off the berth, or is it docked always better? In this case, they would not move it off the berth. There is no danger of a massive kind of Beirut explosion of any kind. Now, I'm not saying you can't have an explosion on board. Let me be clear. We don't know what is in those stacks up forward, but you're not going to have the entire ship go up in a Hiroshima bomb. It's much better to have it on, as you see right here. They are getting a lot of support from the aerial units right here. You can see the firefighter stage. This would be their manpower pool. You're going to burn through crews very quickly doing this. So as you're up on the ship, you've got your self-contained breathing apparatus, your air bottles, which are probably 4,500 psi bottles that can handle maybe about 45 minutes. You can see some crew members coming off. They're going to have to rotate there. You can see firefighters right here on this lashing bridge. They're going to be spraying water down into the hold of the ship to fight the fire. Sorry, talking a little bit. Is the vessel salvageable or just reusable materials? No, this vessel is very salvageable. There's nothing I'm seeing here right now that will prevent this vessel from being used. Matter of fact, once they get this fire out and offload these containers in this area, they will be able to offload the rest of the vessel and probably actually minimal damage. They will have to do a survey of the ship to determine what this is. How big is the ship? Again, 1,100 feet. This is a 8,000 TEU vessel. She just came in from Tokyo, Japan. She'd stopped in two other ports, Nagoya and Osaka. And prior to that was over in Singapore. So 1,800 people watching right now. I appreciate this. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice of you to say. Let's see. Question: can the water sink the ship or list it? You can flood those two entire compartments. You're not going to sink that ship right there. You're fine. 17-year-old vessel. I think I said it before. This ship is, 17 years old. 2008. Let me pull some information up for you. She was built in Japan, Japan Marine Limited. She is owned by Fuku Ijin Kisan KK out of Japan, who operates her. I can pull up for you. The insurance company is Japan Ship Owners Mutual Protection, so they're going to get a call here today. So insurance is going to be a big issue right here. The cargo, if any cargo is damaged, as much water getting into the ship from hoses. So right now, what you see them pulling up there, I would imagine are 2.5 inch hoses. That's about the biggest that you can manhandle, or to be firefighter handle, I should say. Man, I fight with women firefighters. The about 2.5 inch hoses, they can spray up to 250 gallons per minute, depending on the nozzle and the hose type. So you can definitely do quite a bit there. Excuse me, talking a bit too much here. Fire isn't linear, so I would just say to people at minute to minute, whether it looks better or worse doesn't necessarily help. Exactly true, Chris. One of the things I would note is we could have a flare up from one of the containers that heats up. There was a report early of an explosion on board. It was probably internal to one of the containers on board. So we could definitely see this. You really don't ever turn your back on a fire, because that's the moment it will bite you. You've got to be really, really careful about this. Carol, early in the helicopter feed, I saw water coming out of the side of the ship near where the fireboat 2 was spraying. Was that part of the build system? It may have been. I don't know. I didn't see that. It could have been water actually washing down and coming out some of the scuppers or the side of the vessel. So one of the good things I will say about this is the location of this vessel. It is actually at a terminal pretty far up inside Los Angeles, which means that the Port of Los Angeles should not be disrupted too much. I would imagine right now that Port of Los Angeles would hold everything tight right now. There is no ships above her in the terminal right now. There's one ship above her. There is a tanker, the Seaways Molina, which is an oil tanker. All the other ships are actually just south of her. So there's a container ship across the way, the YM Ubiquity, and then there are several vessels over at Pier 300 and Pier 400, but they should be able to operate without any problems. LA now has 5 fireboats on location. No, excuse me, 4 fireboats. Fireboat 2, Fireboat 3, Fireboat 4, and Fireboat 23 are on location. Excuse me, there is 5, and Fireboat 5. So they got plenty of fireboats. They're using their main fireboat, which is the big fireboat, Fireboat 2 right now, to fight that fire. Pull up some information for you on the fireboat, because I love fireboats. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Just love some classic kind of fireboats here for you. It's up right here. Get it up right here. A little bit of detail here on the fireboat. Trying to find some information about her for you. I think you'll find it interesting. Zooming in right there, you can see those firefighting crews in action. Got ambulances on standby, always an important thing. Your crews are going to get burnt out doing this. Always a big challenge right here. So I'm going to stop my feed here for 1 second. I apologize here as I switch over, trying to keep you as abreast of everything as I can here. Stand by, coming back here with this here for you. Let's see if I can get this. So this is the fireboat right now that is doing the firefighting. This is fireboat number 2, built back in 2003. Right here, you can see her in action right here. Some good photos of the fireboat right here. She is a absolute beast of a fireboat right here. She can do some massive water spray. She is just absolutely master of being able to fight fires. And then one of the things that fireboats bring with them is not just fireboats, the ability to spray water, but they also bring with them the trained firefighting crews, which I think is really the most important element here. Los Angeles has a well-trained fire brigade in terms of marine firefighting, and so that is an important element. Monitoring, as I said before, there are light